Hello and g'day. Today we're going to be making Kraft card envelope packaging. Kraft card is famous for its strength and versatility and has this familiar colour that we all love. For this reason, it makes perfect packaging to send that something small through your local postal service. I'm going to show you this two-folded simple envelope that you can either run through your printer to put your brand on it and your address like this, or you can just use my free template and print it out blank, and you can pop a sticker on it or a rubber stamp. This is the A4 size, and I've printed it out with my logo on it, and on the back side I've put the sender address, so when it's folded on the back it just is in the right place, and I can either put a sticker there or just stick it down. This here is an A5 size one, so I've just made it a little bit differently. This one I didn't even use a pattern. This here is the US letter size, so I will provide it to you in two sizes. What I found with this Kraft paper or card, you can get it in a paper and you can get it in a cardstock. Now I've got three here. I've got 3 packets, and all 3 packets, they're cardstock. This is 280 GSM, this is 280 GSM, and this is, I'm not sure because I couldn't find the GSM on here. It just says here 65, so that could mean 65 pound. I'm not really familiar with the letter size 8.5 inch by 11. I'm not familiar with this one. This one is a lot lighter. Like, it's not quite as heavy as this one. This one is 280 GSM. It's much heavier. Great for packaging. This one is also 280 GSM, but it feels heavier than this one. So this one is denser than this one. So they're two different manufacturers, two different brands. So depending on your brand, this 280 GSM feels a lot heavier and sturdier than this one. So be aware of that when you're making your purchase or getting your cardstock out. Depends on what you're putting in it. This here is the 12 by 12, and these are quite papery as well. They're lighter than this one, so they sort of are a bit all over the place, and then you can go right down to the paper sheets. So Kraft paper and cardstock varies so much. If you want to send something through like this, you'll need something a bit heavier because you need to protect what it is that you're sending through. Say you didn't have a packaging like this. I've made this packaging, but if you didn't have it, I'll show you how you can fix up both if you're using something lighter. It's pretty easy to do. What I'll do is I'll just head on over to the printer and I'll print this out, and I'll be printing in A4 size, and I'll be back in a minute, and then we'll cut this out and make it up. Now if you have any troubles putting this heavier cardstock through your printer, don't worry, just print it out on normal paper, and then, because I'll give you the printout, right, and just print it out on normal white paper, and then just trace this end directly onto your piece of card. So you only need to do that because you're using the width of your paper or your cardstock to make the envelope. So you don't really need to put it through the printer unless you're printing your brand directly onto your cardstock. And that is something that I'm not showing you how to do today. I'm only showing you how to make up the envelope for packaging. So we'll make this one up first. And I'm going to cut it out so that I cut off the black line. So I put my ruler just inside of the black line and just cut that off. Now when I give you the printable, when you print that out, I'll have the marks here where you need to score and fold. Okay, so get your scoreboard. You can just run your score line down here freehand, but I find on this thicker cardstock it runs all over the place. It doesn't seem to follow the line down, and I'm thinking it might be this board. It's the We Are Memory Keepers board. These ridges don't seem to keep my tool in the lines. They do jump the line and go over to the next one. So I've used this one. I bring it over and I use this last line here, especially on the heavy cardstock. So I line up my mark on that line there, and I use the edge of this. I rest my tool on the edge of this and I just run it down, and I get a straight line all the time because it just can't jump off. Then I'll bring it down. I've got another marker here to fold the flap down at the back. And I always do a couple of passes rather than press too heavy because I never want to tear my paper. Okay, now I'm going to fold over to the back and make sure these lines here are square. Zoom you in there. And you don't really have to flatten that down too much because we're using it as a packing envelope. We want a little bit of room in there. Do the same here. Just use that fold line. That score marker. Parallel here, making sure it's even. Parallel there. This one here, you can flatten down a little bit more. See how heavy this cardstock is? And crease that down. I'm not overly creasing it, I'm just persuading it to lay flat. So I've got my logo sitting there and my sender information on the back. When I send things out, and I've got something like this, and if I was to put that in there and send that, it might be heavy enough to protect it. I can send this through a normal post. Say it might cost Australian $2 to send this because it fits the A4 envelope sizing. So I'd get away with sending that out for $2. But I'd be worried that in transit, these little clips might get damaged. So what I do is you can either make the envelope up first, or you can get some packaging and just pop it in here before you make the envelope. And I can put that in there, and then I'll stick the sides down because it's easier to get it in there than this stuff's sort of sticky, and you try and feed it into a closed envelope, it's a little bit harder. So I actually put my things in the envelope first and then close it down. The other one is the bubble wrap. This is a little bit thinner than this foamy stuff. that in there. And that's nowhere near as bulky as that other stuff. So I would seal that in, and I would get away with sending that through our Australia Post. So I'm just going to use a strong thin tape because I know there's nothing else going in beside this. So I can put a wider tape, and I'm going to use this piece here because it's the shorter of the two pieces. And because I'm relying on this to, be my only closure, as well as here, I also add a little bit of extra glitter glue on there, just to make double sure that it's going to stay stuck. Right, now I'll take a little bit more care how that's placed. And I don't have to worry so much about trying to feed that in here now. It's already in there. And it's just given it that little puffy pocket. And it's protected, and that'll go through the mail very easily. Then I'll just go ahead and I'll put some more tape across the top of the flap. So now that's ready to finish. Once I put my packing slip in there, or a note, or whatever it is that you're going to pop in there, that's ready for me to do that and just seal that down. Right, then I go, if I want to put my little hand touch on it, I just grab my marker and I draw a little box, just like that. Then I'll put a little drop shadow around it. So it's another little box just below it, and then I'll colour that in. And then I'll write 2 and put a couple of little dots there. So that's how I start my letters off. And then all that's left to do is write their name and address there and pop some stamps on. Now what I'm going to do is I want to do a test send with this, and for the first person that writes in the comment, I would love this bookbinder's needle. Write that in the comment. I would love this bookbinder's needle. The first person to put that in the comment, I will send you this bookbinder's needle. This is a high quality bookbinder's needle. I'll get this sent off to you and I'll send it in one of these Kraft packaging. I'll only be sending it out to one, so the first person to comment, I'd love to have this bookbinder's needle. It's a little beauty. So what I'll do now is I'll do the letter size one and print it out blank and just show you how you can pop a sticker on it. I've got these clear address labels and I've printed out both my logo and my address on them, because these are a great way to add it if you can't print directly onto your Kraft envelope packaging. Just get your Avery label out, pop your goodies in the envelope. Once that's taped down, you can either put it straight on there or you can put it on the front. But they look pretty good. I like the clear stickers. I think they look pretty good. If you have your own stamp with your own design on it, you could just stamp that up and put your little stamp logo on the front there, and that would be handmade for you by Dawn. This was my mum's stamp, so I thought I'd just use that to show you that if you've got a handmade stamp by your name, use that on there as well. Okay, now to make this one, I've used the Kazaz. This is a 216 GSM, and this is the oatmeal colour. Now all I've done with this one is really easy as well, is I've worked out, you don't need a pattern with this one, you really don't, is I've just worked out that I'm going to fold it there, and I'm going to fold it there. So you work out how deep you want your envelope to be, and that looks in proportion to me. And there is how I've used the stamp on this one. If you're going to use your rubber stamp, now's the time to use it before you fold it while it's laying nice and flat. So pop your rubber stamp on there. So we'll open that back up, get the corner punch. You could use a little decorative punch as well. There. Find your centre mark on the back. I've just used a large oval. So it's 1 3/4 inch. That's the width of that. And I'm just going to punch a nice big wide thumb hole in that. Because it's a smaller envelope, I've actually used the narrow tape as well. So before I tape it down, I'll just distress the edges. That's how you get that one. Right, this is good if you just want to send some ephemera through to somebody. Like I've got this here, and this is probably getting a little bit too thick. If I wanted to send all of this through the mail, that, you know, might be getting a little bit too thick. If I pop that in there, Australia Post might take that, and they might not. They might think it's too thick, and they might accept that. It's just something that you've got to check with your local post office as to whether or not they would accept that much in there. But, you know, if you were only just sending a few things like that, I would definitely, I can feel that that's okay. I know that they would take that. So it's ideal. These little envelopes are ideal just to pop something small and simple and reasonably flat in the post. So if I was going to just put the plain, this one in without any packaging, I would just go that way, pop that in. And that's ready to go. Well, I'm pretty sure you'll get some use out of these Kraft envelopes. They're ideal for packaging, they're ideal for sending through, and I mean, you could just send anything through. They're just so crafty. You know, I just love this type of paper. I know how popular it is, and like I said earlier, it's, you know, it's famous for being strong, and its versatility is just second to none. I'm Donna, thanks for watching, and bye for now.
I wanna take a trip to Mars, nothing can break